This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
Kentucky Senate hopeful Daniel Cameron is so far the only declared candidate on the GOP side of the race and is now embarking on his third statewide campaign for office. The former Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate is starting out with high hopes. A poll of nearly 1,300 likely voters in December by right-leaning pollster Coefficient puts Cameron in the lead in a matchup with some of the rumored names that could also join the GOP primary. Cameron, who's called Senator Mitch McConnell a mentor and previously served as his legal counsel, believes his record will set him apart from the office's current occupant.
Obviously, there will be policy disagreements and with the sitting senator, but at the end of the day, this is about the future, and I've demonstrated that I'm my own man.
On the Democratic side, House Minority Leader Pam Stevenson says she also plans to run for the seat and will make a formal announcement soon. We're still watching for some of the other names that could be joining this race. Representative Donworth, I want to start with you here again from a Democrat's perspective. What will you be watching for in this race particularly, and your thoughts how a Trump endorsement could really change things up in the GOP primary?
You know, my only comments on the GOP primary is I think it's going to be very full. I think it is going to be incredibly expensive, and I wish we could put $500,000 or $500 million into anything besides elections. There are so many other things that are more deserving and more needed right now. That being said, I think Pamela Stevenson is absolutely phenomenal. I have gotten to know her as the leader, our caucus leader. It's the first black woman ever to lead either caucus in either chambers, and she is phenomenal. So we'll see how it all turns out.
Senator Douglas, what are you watching for in this race?
Well, you know, I think on the Republican side, we have a number of people who are competent and they're capable and they're very informed. So I tend to think that we have a very deep bench. I don't really want to talk about some of the candidates who might get in because I don't want to put pressure on them, and I really don't want to try to predict their future. One of the things I would like to take a little bit of time about, if you would, is I want to thank Mitch McConnell. I want to thank Mitch McConnell for all the things that he's done over time. Now, we can nitpick and we can say there are a lot of things that he voted for that we didn't like or that we did like, but I think we all would not fare very well if someone nitpicked at our history. I think he's done a tremendous job overall for the Republican Party here in the Commonwealth, and I think he's done overall done a wonderful job moving the Commonwealth forward in a lot of areas. And I just want to thank him for the time that he's spent.
Well, as you mentioned, you don't want to speculate too much on who else might join the race, but given y'all are politicians, y'all know how timelines for these things kind of work. What would be the best window for these folks right now who may be thinking about it to really consider when they need to decide on if they're truly going to be getting in this race or not? How soon do we really need to know, given that the primary for this is over a year away?
I still think that that whoever is thinking about getting in needs to be looking at making an announcement in the next several weeks, meaning within the next 8 weeks. I think there's going to be a lot of fundraising that has been mentioned, a lot of fundraising that's going to have to be done. I think there's going to be a lot of name recognition. And I just think there are a lot of people across the country, not just people in the Commonwealth, who are looking at this race.
Last word from you, Representative Donworth, and more Democrats that could join, possibly.
I have not heard as many whispers on the Democratic side. I would be shocked if Andy Barr did not run for Senate. But as far as timeline, when people are already elected to a federal level position, they're not under the same level because they can transfer funds over from their other campaign accounts. Andy Barr already has $3.9 million in the bank. That sets him up pretty well on the fundraising side of things. And I think it's going to be, again, astronomically expensive, and I just hope that the Commonwealth comes out stronger ultimately.
We'll see what happens on the campaign trail.